In this video, I'm going to share a great basic gluten-free batter recipe, which can be turned into so many flavours so easily. I'm going to share 6 that I came up with just using things in my cupboards. So I've been gluten-free now myself for just over a year, and let's just say, the cupcakes are gone and I've not even edited this video yet. They were that good. For the basic batter, which makes approximately 12 cupcakes, you will need 200 grams of butter, 200 grams of sugar, and 200 grams of gluten-free flour. So I just kind of wanted to talk about the different flours quickly. I prefer to use the Dove's brand for cakes as it's just a very basic flour blend, and that way I can control the amount of raising agents and thickeners that I pop into it. The supermarket brand plain flour also only has flour blend, but as you can see it's slightly different ingredients to the Dove's one. I use this for things like batters and pastries. The self-raising flour already contains raising agents and thickeners. I tend to use this for things like breakfast waffles. It's also fine in cupcakes and cakes too, I just prefer the texture that I get from the Dove's one. So in my recipe I've added 1 teaspoon of baking powder to make it self-raising. You'll also need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 30 grams of cocoa powder, 3 medium eggs, half a teaspoon of lemon extract and some xantham gum. So the xantham gum is a thickener and helps to bind everything together. Without it you'd have a very crumbly cake or pastry. You only need a small amount and you can follow the guidelines on the back. I've got 200 grams of flour, so I'm just going to add in 1/4 teaspoon. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to baking powder or baking soda. So, just like a standard cake recipe, we start off by creaming the butter and sugar together until it's pale and fluffy. It's also a really great habit to get into, that you crack your eggs into a separate bowl before adding. That way, if any shell gets in there, it's a lot easier to get it out. Also, a little great tip is to use a piece of shell to get out a piece of shell. I know it sounds crazy, but it totally works. At this point, I'm also going to pop my oven on to preheat. For this, I'm putting it on 160 degrees and this is a fan-assisted oven. So my butter and sugar have been mixing for about 5 minutes and it's lovely pale and fluffy. We're going to add in the eggs and incorporate along with the flour mix. Once it's fully combined, scrape down the paddle attachment and give it a good stir just to make sure that there are no lumps of flour or butter at the bottom of the bowl. As you can see, it looks really similar to a standard cake batter. To add a variety of flavours to my sponges, I'm going to divide my batter in half. I've used 200 grams each of 4 ingredients, which makes 800, so I need to weigh out 400 grams. The batter left in the mixing bowl is going to become chocolate. I do this by stirring through the cocoa powder and then add a little water just to loosen it back up again. We definitely don't want a dry cake. To the other half, I'm going to stir through the vanilla extract. Don't worry about the lemon just yet, we'll come back to that in a minute. Magically, pop some cupcake cases into a tray and begin to fill. I use an ice cream scoop. Oh, hi there! As I was saying, I use an ice cream scoop as it allows me to get the same amount of batter in each one. I'm going to fill my first 6 with the chocolate batter. One of the flavours I'd like to create is an Oreo one. Now, normal Oreos contain gluten, but some supermarkets have made their own free-from friendly versions. I'm going to break one up and just poke large pieces into 2 of my cupcakes so it bakes into the batter. I'm then going to use my vanilla batter to fill 4 of the cupcakes up. Then with my remaining batter, I'm going to add in the vanilla extract, mix it through and fill up the remaining 2 cupcakes. I bake them in the oven for 15 minutes, spin them around and then bake for a further 5 to 7 minutes until they're cooked through. Use a cocktail stick or a skewer inserted into the middle and it should come out clean. Also, the cupcake should be springy to the touch. Allow to cool fully and then we can fill and decorate. So I've taken a little look around my kitchen and I've pulled out some things that I think would work really well as cupcake flavours. These include things like salted caramel, jam, spreads, chocolate, sprinkles, all the good stuff. I've also whipped up a batch of my silky smooth Swiss meringue buttercream. If you'd like the recipe, then click the link above. Another great way to add variety to the look of your cupcakes is by using a coupler in your piping bag. These consist of two parts, one that goes inside the bag and one that holds the nozzle on the outside of the bag. This allows you to interchange nozzles and get a different look. So now I have everything prepared, let's put it all together. My first creation is going to be the Oreo one. I've halved some of the biscuits and also crushed them up. I've already got some baked into the sponge, so all I'm going to do is simply top it off with some buttercream, add a half piece onto the side and then crumble some on top. Easy peasy. Second is my salted caramel. I've got some homemade caramel sauce, fudge pieces and my vanilla cakes. For these I'm going to core them with this handy little plunger, which you can pick up quite inexpensively from a lot of places online. Simply push down, give it a little twist and pull it out. It is also completely acceptable to scoff the middle whilst decorating. Fill with lashings of caramel sauce, top with buttercream, more drizzles of caramel sauce and a couple of fudgy pieces for decoration. These are my absolute favourite. For my third cupcake, I went for a 99 ice cream type vibe with raspberry jam and flake pieces. I'm also switching out my nozzle for one a bit more swirly. I'm coring again, this time filling with the jam, topping with the buttercream, a dollop more of jam and a flake on the side. The fourth is a lemon meringue inspired cupcake. I'm using lemon curd, broken meringue pieces and I'm also switching back to my round nozzle. I'm filling up with the curd and topping with the buttercream. This time I'm drizzling with a slightly watered down curd and topping off with crunchy meringue pieces. The fifth is a bit of a chocolate overload cupcake using white chocolate spread, chocolate ganache, leftover flake and white chocolate stars. In my core I'm filling up with the spread, topping with the buttercream, drizzling over the ganache and plonking on some more chocolate. Lastly, I'm creating a chocolate mint cupcake. I'm coring and filling with a little ganache, Aero chocolate and more ganache to fill the outsides. I'm topping off with the buttercream that I flavoured with peppermint and also dyed a gorgeous mint green. I finally ganache a drizzle and then pop an Aero wedge on top. I did want to use the bubbles, but my online shop gave me a sub, so wedge it is. So that's how I turned one batter into 6 different flavours. It saves so much hassle and the flavour combinations are endless. Please do consider subscribing to my channel for more recipes, tips and cake decorating ideas.